Hello, this is yours truly, Charles Prosper, your consistency success coach. And in this installment, I want to talk about something that has theoretical implications that explain a lot of how things come to existence. There is a concept called critical mass. When critical mass reaches a certain point, the nature of a particular situation changes completely. Let me see if I can give you some examples. When water is heated and boils, it reaches a critical mass where the water turns into steam. And if you constantly put one brick on top of another brick on top of another brick on top of a roof of any building, if you consistently put one brick after the other, critical mass will be reached and the entire roof will cave in. So there is something magical about consistency because it is the dynamic which drives something to the point where thoughts become things and actions becomes reality. So consistency is the dynamic that drives whatever it is that we're doing to the point of critical mass where it becomes real, manifests in this world. It is the point where thought becomes things. So, to the best of my ability, I will explain to you in this video that consistency creates critical mass and critical mass creates reality. So, I'm gonna give it my best shot. So here we go. Before I touch upon the subject of consistency creates critical mass, I'd like to talk about two important topics before I get into it. The first one is inconsistent with minor details but not the overall plan, and the other is small but consistent is better than big and sporadic. First of all, let me talk about inconsistent with minor details but not the overall plan. You may occasionally be inconsistent with the details of your plan, but you are never allowed to be inconsistent with the execution of the plan itself. When it comes to working out, I get the best workout when I go to 24-hour fitness, which is only 10 to 15 minutes drive from where I live. There is a great variety of weights and exercise machines, and to be submerged in the total atmosphere of fitness, surrounded by other enthusiastic bodybuilders, keeps my motivation high. There are, however, the occasional times, not often, but occasional, when it is not feasible for me to drive to the gym. So, what do I do on these occasions? On these times, I will do what I can do. I will go to my living room and do 45 minutes of push-ups for my shoulders and triceps, chin-ups for my biceps and back, leg lunges with my hands at my side for my frontal thighs, and leg raises and sit-ups on the floor for my abdominals. Skipping is never an option. Let me talk about now small but consistent is better than big and sporadic. You cannot make up for lost time when it comes to consistency. You can only begin again on the next opportunity. Let us say that I am to exercise every day for 30 minutes and I skip 4 days in a row. This is just a supposition. I usually wouldn't do that. On the 5th day, attempting to work out for 2 hours will not make up the lost 30 minutes a day of the last 4 days. If you have begun a savings plan of $100 a month and omit saving for 3 consecutive months, placing $400 in the account on the 5th month is not the same as saving $100 for 3 consecutive months and then placing $400 in the account in the 4th month. 4 months saving in the first scenario would be $400. 4 months of consistent saving in the second scenario would result in $800. Each day of lost opportunity is lost forever. You can begin again, but you can never recover a day that you have squandered. Each day counts, which is why you must make it count. Could a drop of water split a mountain in two? The answer is yes. But with a little thought and reflection, it would not take one drop, but rather many drops, one after another, consistently over time. The principle of an ultimate effect is small but repetitive. I once witnessed a very interesting result of a small but repetitive action which took place after about 2 months. I was the mentor of a young man by the name of Alex, age 15, who accompanied me to a neighborhood fitness center where I trained him on the use of free weights and exercise equipment. We trained for about 5 days a week. After a vigorous workout, we would go to the men's locker room, shower, and dress. Alex had this routine where he would come out of the shower with a towel wrapped around his waist, go to the mirror, and wet a small black plastic comb under the water faucet. Then tap his comb 3 times on the edge of the baseball counter to shake off the excess water, and comb his hair to one side. This he did every day for the 5 days a week we worked out. He would wet the comb and tap the comb 3 times on its back to shake off the excess water and comb his hair to one side. Then one day, after about 2 months of this regular grooming routine, when he started tapping the comb in order to shake the water off, after the second tap, the comb split perfectly in 2. The split was so straight and so perfect, it looked as though it had been cut by a precision saw. When I saw this, I realized I had witnessed something that demonstrated a very powerful principle in a secret. Every repetition of consistency creates an effect, even if it cannot be readily perceived by the human eye or the other senses. At what point does consistency create a result? Answer: immediately. Existence of what is not predicated on one's perception of it. There are many things that exist totally independent of our perception of them. Radio waves are all pervading in the room where you are right now, even though you cannot perceive it. The proof of this becomes the moment you turn on the radio capable of capturing and transmitting them to the human ear, which they can then be perceived, and their existence is thus validated. Consistency creates a result from the first repetition. Results are progressive and cumulative until ordinary things consistently done produce extraordinary results that can be seen. Consistency creates critical mass. Consistency creates critical mass. In other words, you may ask, at what point do thoughts become things? At what point does a grain of sand become a beach? At what point do drops of water become an ocean? At what point does consistent love become trust? All consistency reaches its point of critical mass. At what point critical mass will be reached cannot always be predicted in terms of time frame. However, critical mass is guaranteed as long as you remain consistent. Okay, I hope you got the concept of how consistency creates critical mass. Because once you understand this, it will be the motivating factor behind you continuing to move forward to reach your goals. Now, before I go, I would like to invite you to join my community at the Prosper Success Consistency website, where you will have access to live coaching calls on the subject of consistency to help you stay focused on your particular goal, as well as have access to accountability partners who will be assigned to you to help you stay focused in order to be able to achieve your goals. So, I would like to invite you to go right now to www.consistencysuccesscoach.com, and you will be glad that you did. So, until the next time, stay consistent and be successful.